Hello, I'm Paul Peterson. There's no question that good nutrition and healthy eating are essential if we are to age well. But it takes more than an apple a day to keep the doctor away. Cooking for just one or two can often seem bothersome, and we're all guilty of resorting to eating unhealthy, expensive fast food and prepackaged alternatives rather than make ourselves a meal from fresh ingredients. Today we're going to discover just how simple it is to make quick and tasty meals that are easy on the budget. Stay tuned for Aging in LA. There's nothing nicer than a home-cooked meal. These days, though, we often choose unhealthy, expensive, prepackaged food rather than cook for ourselves. Today, we'll see just how quick and easy it is to make appetizing meals at a fraction of the cost of shop-bought alternatives as we visit a market and go into the kitchen with guest chef Matthew Poley and his catering business partner, Tara Maxey. Welcome to both of you. Thanks so much for joining us today. Matthew, I have to tell you, I'm the guy at home that cooks for one or two. Is there a trick to motivating yourself to just cook that small portions?
Well, I think the most important thing is just learning that you're going to have leftovers no matter what you cook. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult to go and buy just one portion of something. So always plan out your breakfast for the next day, or your lunch for the next day, or your dinner for the next day, and so on and so forth. So, you know, when you are cooking for one person, or, you know, or just for yourself, you can make one or two meals, you know, at one time, or 2, 3, 4 meals at one time.
So planning is really an important component of this. I know if I go to the market and I'm hungry, I am that spur-of-the-moment person. I'm grabbing stuff that I really don't want to buy.
Right.
So, do you actually encourage meal planning then with a long refrigerator life?
Well, I think that, you know, we always want to try to use, you always want a starch and a vegetable and a protein. You always want those three components for a meal. So if you can pick your starch, say you want to use rice or you're going to use pasta, you get a good, nice wild rice or whole wheat pasta or something like that, like a good pasta that's good for you, as opposed to just, you know, you can buy the unbleached flour, and, you know, minute rice and stuff like that.
The stuff we all grew up with, in fact.
Definitely grew up with that. But I mean, you want to, once you choose your starch, then you just use the market to your benefit. Go to the produce section, pick out a couple of vegetables, and, you know, they always kind of group some of the vegetables that go together well with one another. So wherever you'll find the eggplant, you'll find bell peppers and onions and chilies and cilantro and all the herbs and things like that. So then you know, okay, well, I can get eggplant, peppers, onions, chop them up, and make, you know, roasted vegetables. They all go together nice. Right. And we've chosen pasta, so we cook our pasta, we cook our vegetables, and now we put them together. If we want to do a meat, then we can cook or grill a meat or saute some chicken or steak, and that's going to go nicely with it as well. I mean, all of those components, when they come together, you get a full nutritional meal.
Right. Now, Tara, I have to ask. Now, I noticed pastry chef is really what you call yourself. But pastry, how on earth do we do that and for ourselves? I mean, I can't imagine cooking a whole cake for myself.
Well, we don't.
Really? No, but a complete meal. I like desserts. I like something after having that good meal. Not a lot anymore, but do you have like suggestions for people of how they can finish off their meal in a healthy and nutritious way? Well,
the great thing that you can do with pastries is the freezer is your best friend, and you can prepare an entire recipe for chocolate chip cookies, and then roll up the dough in parchment paper, roll it into a rope, and then you could just cut it up and
Couple, 3 slices.
Yeah, and then put it in the oven on 350, and it's great. And or you could just do yogurt. You know, the great thing about cooking yourself rather than going and buying your meal somewhere is that you get to control the nutritional value.
Right.
And you get to control what kind of oils that you use and what, like Matt was saying, what sort of pastas that you use. Whereas in a restaurant, you don't. So that's what's really great about.
Well, so many in our audience are on a fixed budget and they shop carefully. You're looking for coupons because food is very expensive these days. And I know I must make myself say, well, wait a minute, look, go in the accordion file and find out what I'm going to pick up that day. How much money can people really save themselves if they're careful shoppers?
Most important thing to look for in the grocery store is things that are less expensive. The less expensive ingredients are what are in season. So that's your biggest trick, is everything that's, you know, you're going to see specials for tomatoes on the vine, or during the summer, asparagus is going to be a lot less expensive than it is in the winter. That's when you want to buy asparagus. Organize your meal that asparagus is during the summer, because number one, it's less expensive. Number two, the produce isn't grown with hormones. It's not grown in an environment that's not natural. You know, we talk about sustainability and growing with eating in, you know, this through the correct seasons and being seasonal and seasonality and all this other stuff. Well, tomatoes are only good 6 months out of the year, so don't organize a meal around tomatoes in December, you know, or in January. You know, wait till the summer, get your tomato fix in the summer, and then when winter comes, move into squash and pumpkin and things like that. You can make the same soups. Say you want to make a tomato soup, the same method to make a pumpkin soup. You know, so it's just, that's the most important thing. You're going to save money by buying what's fresh that season.
Well, and I love the idea of variety. Just when you were rolling off some of the names in the produce section, I was thinking, I never go over there and grab that stuff. Is it easy to kind of, well, not so much to have these things on hand because it's always better when it's fresh, but how do you remind yourself to try something fresh and something new?
Well, get the basics at home. Always have a couple potatoes.
Right.
Those are very, I mean, obviously potatoes are very inexpensive. A couple white onions, garlic, some fresh herbs growing. You know, there's no need to buy basil or mint or rosemary, thyme. They grow like wildfire.
Do they ever? Right.
You know, you can plant a little plant in your windowsill, and you've always got fresh rosemary. You've always got thyme and mint and basil and these things. So as long as you have the basics, potatoes, onions, garlic, you can make any form of soup. You know, you just, asparagus is on sale, one head of asparagus or broccoli, and you can make a soup. You can do, you know, you could chop it all up and roast it.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, as we promised earlier, we are going to follow Matt as he goes to the market to shop for ingredients for a 3-course lunch. Later in the program, we'll watch him prepare the meal. But first, let's join Matt on a visit to the new Whole Foods store in Venice, where he is perusing the wide array of vegetables and making some choices.
So my 2 favorite things in a kitchen are onions and garlic. I always want to buy garlic that I can peel and onions that I can peel. When you buy onions and garlic that are already peeled, it means that they've been dipped in a chemical, and we don't want to add any other of those ingredients when we're cooking raw. So first, I'll always get my garlic, and I like to get yellow Spanish onions. So my favorite way to shop for greens is always to go local. The least amount of time that you take it from the ground, the better off you are. So anytime you don't have a chance to get to a farmer's market, Whole Foods is great. I always like to go with organic spinach. It'll let you know, locally grown. Kenter Canyon Farms is a great farm. We're going to go today for our salad with a baby wild arugula. Arugula has a peppery flavor. We're going to do a simple mushroom saute for our salad, a little Parmesan cheese. Keep it very easy, and this one's also very inexpensive. So whenever we go to the grocery store, we want to make sure to hand-pick all of our produce. So again, our salad today is going to be a wild arugula salad, some portobello mushrooms, which this is what I'm talking about, packaged mushrooms. You always want to hand-pick them. When they're packaged, it means they can put it through the glassy frame here, and it looks more pretty. We want to hand-pick them. They're fresher, straight from the farm. So here, our portobello mushrooms today are going to offer us 2 things. Number one, it's a little bit larger portion. They're also inexpensive. So our portobello mushrooms are for our salad today. So another secret ingredient I like to use is the lemon. The lemon is just as important to me as salt and pepper. We're going to use it to make our vinaigrette for our salad, and the zest is going to flavor our chicken dish. When shopping at the market, it's always important to look for specials. Today, tomatoes on the vine are on special. During off-season, you always want to buy tomatoes that are on the vine. The tomatoes still think they're growing, and so you're going to get the freshest quality. At the market, we find all different types of greens. Today, we call an Italian black Tuscan cabbage. This is $1.99 for one bunch, and this is we're going to stretch for our chicken dish today. Very inexpensive, very healthy. Kale is one of the healthiest foods you can eat. So many convenience and grocery stores are going to do you a favor. They're going to package things together with flavors that go together very well. Today, you've got here eggplant which happens to be on sale, and bell peppers. You're going to have four different types of bell peppers here: orange, green, yellow, and red. Most inexpensive is always going to be the green, but the sweetest and the most flavorful, especially for pasta, is going to be our yellow bell pepper today. I'm going to take one yellow bell pepper and one eggplant. It's going to cost me about $1.50, and we're going to have plenty of leftovers. Looks like we've got everything we need. Let's go cook.
Oh, those were great tips. How fun. Do you completely feel comfortable in the store when you walk in to go shopping?
Well, that particular, pardon me, that particular day we couldn't go to the farmer's market because it was raining. So when we go whenever we go to Whole Foods, it's always just look for what's on special. You know, you never want to spend, you never want to spend more than what you're going to spend if you went to a restaurant. So that's kind of always how we budget it.
Right, and that's a good guideline. That's quite a threshold. You know, Tara, I read someplace that typical meals sometimes come from as far away as 1,500 miles, that the prepackaged food has been transported that far. Is it hard to find a local farmer's market? Can people go online or ask friends?
Yeah, I don't know what the website is, but here in Los Angeles, there's a farmer's market every day.
Yes.
And even in the outskirts of Los Angeles, and so they're becoming really popular now. So it's pretty accessible, and they're so much fun, and you've developed relationships with the farmers.
And that's what I like, because they do take pride in the stuff that they grow, and maybe they'll have some preparation hints for you.
Sometimes, and it's just passed through less hands, and so it's going to be cheaper, and it's going to be fresher, and you're going to get the ultimate flavor out of that particular produce that you're
Not to mention, they're going to give you a couple things for free if they see you there every week.
Yeah.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
No joke. I mean,
Here comes our regular.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. They're going to give you a couple extra apples. 2 extra apples, you're talking about an apple a day, that's 2 days worth of apples, you don't have to pay
That's
for.
right. That's right. Now, I was fascinated by the 4 different kinds of peppers that you showed, but again, as you mentioned earlier, they were grouped.
Yeah.
So you could see that maybe these things, you can find a good way to put them together.
And you really don't need to know, and there isn't really any definition of what food has to be. You can be creative at home. I mean, all of these vegetables that come together, you don't have to choose, I want kale and eggplant and onions.
I want to watch you work in the kitchen here. So it's time for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion of home-cooked meals with our guests, Chef Matthew Poley and his catering partner, Tara Maxey. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute.
Ensuring that you, your family, and your home are prepared for a disaster is critical. Be self-reliant and assume responsibility for your own safety and that of your family. For additional information, please contact the Department on Disability or the Emergency Management Department by calling the numbers on the screen or by dialing 311.
Hey, buddy! Don't you know you should never leave a cooking pan unattended? And a working smoke detector can warn you of a fire. Like the one behind me. My hero!
Next time, listen to the ball. Have a smoke detector and a fire extinguisher that work. How'd you know? The ball called.
Welcome back to Aging in L.A. Our topic today, Cooking for One with Matthew Poley. With us today is Matthew and his catering partner, Tara Maxey. Now, I'm getting kind of excited here, hungry too, to watch how you blend all of these things together. But before we get into that, is there a way to properly store the leftovers that you first referenced in the first part of the show?
Well, just always remember to keep all your cooked ingredients above your raw ingredients. That's the most important thing. And as long as everything's airtight with plastic wrap or, you know, a nice Tupperware set, there's no need to, you know, worry too much in the refrigerator. As long as you're putting cool, not like room temperature ingredients in the refrigerator as opposed to hot ingredients.
And Tara, you were mentioning there are services now that will deliver fresh produce to you. In fact, other foods beyond, and I'm talking beyond Meals on Wheels. I'm talking about if you're still able to cook for yourself.
Yeah, they deliver. There's all kinds of different companies that do them, and they'll give you a box of whatever's in season, like Matt was saying, and you just sort of have this hodgepodge, and you can make on our Blogspot, we have different recipes for things that are in season.
Great.
And so I'm sure a lot of it would be in there, and you know, you could make succotash or whatever. I mean,
great.
So, soups.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, now, let's watch Matthew as he prepares a 3-course lunch for one with the ingredients he shopped for earlier at the Whole Foods Market in Venice, and thanks to them for letting us come in and tape. Matt, please describe the process now. This is a nice long piece, so you have plenty of time to describe
Fantastic.
it. Okay. Great.
All right, so the first thing I'm going to do always when I go into the kitchen is set my oven to 500 degrees. Get your oven hot, get your water boiling for the pasta we're going to cook. We're starting to peel all of our mushrooms here for our mushroom salad. We're going to try to stay away from using any stovetop process today, just to kind of keep the kitchen clean. So we're going to roast our mushrooms in the oven. So first we're going to peel them and chop them up into bite-sized pieces. Cooking in the oven, you know, you're not going to get any splattering from olive oil, and nobody wants to clean up when they've got hot food ready to eat.
Yes, yes.
So again, we talked about portobello mushrooms being really great because it's a lot larger mushroom for a good inexpensive price. They do have a lot of protein, and so we just chop them up, add them into a bowl. We're going to peel some garlic and chop it up real quick, and also some onions. I talked about having onions and garlic always in the kitchen.
Always there.
You know, if you buy these things in larger portions, you know, you buy a couple onions at one time or a few garlic at one time. When you go to the store to buy something, you only need to buy your main ingredients. Buy a steak or buy some chicken or buy some greens, things like that. You've already got your staples at home. Go ahead and chop up our onions here, bite-sized pieces. And we're going to mix them with our mushrooms and our garlic in the bowl there. Lemon, salt, and pepper are my seasoning ingredients I use pretty much on everything. So we're just going to go ahead and do some fresh cracked black pepper and cracked sea salt. Try to stay away from using iodized salt. Kosher salt and sea salt is best.
Okay.
Just going to mix them all together here in a bowl. Maybe 2 tablespoons of olive oil went in there total, and I'm just going to throw it in my oven, 500 degrees, and forget about it as I start prepping out for our pasta dish.
Okay, and 500 is just like that's your temperature.
You don't need to cook it. I mean, the only thing you need to cook at 350 degrees is a roast or Tara's desserts. Because other than that, it's, you know, we want to get it cooked now, and we don't want to wait all day if we're just cooking for ourselves.
Right.
There's no reason to, you know, to spend the whole day waiting on an oven. So just get it up to 500. Now our pasta today is going to be a caponata with a whole wheat pasta. We use Rusticella di Abruzzo. It's an Italian brand. You can find at Whole Foods. It's the best pasta you can buy in the United States, and it's good for you.
All right,
so,
say that name again.
Rusticella di Abruzzo comes in brown bags in the pasta section.
All right.
We are saving all of our scraps here to make a vegetable broth. So we can make a soup, or we can use it for cooking later.
Right.
So you'll see me sort of discarding all the scraps into one big bowl, and at the end we're going to show you how to make a vegetable stock, which you can keep in the refrigerator for up to 5 days.
And it doesn't always have to be winter to have a soup
No,
prepared and ready.
a cold soup is great.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to do a cold tomato soup or asparagus soup. So right now we're just chopping up the vegetables to make what's called our caponata, or a roasted vegetable confit. So we're chopping up some of our our vine tomatoes, our yellow bell peppers, and our eggplant. We're adding them onto a sheet tray there that we've lined with aluminum foil, so that way it's easy cleanup at the end. Just tear off the aluminum and trash it.
Very important.
No need to scrub, all of our pans.
Right.
Again, we're going to season with salt and pepper, and we're going to drizzle with a little bit of our extra virgin olive oil. For those of you that don't particularly want to use extra virgin olive oil, we use coconut oil as well. It has a higher smoke point and is a little bit better nutritional value.
Yeah.
A little bit healthier for you.
Okay.
We also added in here some vinegar. Vinegar is going to give it a little bit of tartness.
Right.
And also, it's going to help preserving it. So when it's done cooking, it'll be good for 4 to 5 days.
Okay, so now you've prepped that, and you've taken out the mushrooms.
Yeah, so now we've taken out our roasted mushrooms here. We're going to scoop them into a bowl and reserve that until we're ready to mix it with our salad. That's our salad right there.
Wow.
Now, we went to Whole Foods and purchased an organic bone-in chicken breast.
Bone-in.
Bone-in. Always get it with the bone-in. You're not going to. It doesn't add any more fat. It takes a little bit longer to cook, but it keeps all of the flavor in the chicken when you cook it. And also here we have our cavallonero or kale, sort of a cool cleaning method. You hold it like a pencil, as I did there, and then just pull it away, and you take the stem away. We're going to be roasting that with our chicken, and again, we've got another tomato from our vine we're going to chop up, which will, all the juices from the tomato will reduce, giving us a nice pan chicken sauce.
Now, even though this looks like a lot of food, the truth is there's going to be some pretty nutritious leftovers.
This is going to be a great leftover for you to eat room temperature cold, to turn it into you're still going to have leftover greens, so you can make a nice chicken salad the next day, or you can make it, you can add it all to your vegetable sauce or vegetable stock at the end and make a nice chicken soup.
Like this.
So we're going to really turn this into a lot of different meals. So we're seasoning on both sides our chicken breast, and we're going to get a pan heated as hot as we possibly can on the stove.
Right.
Right here, this is our rusticella di Abruzzo pasta. This is a whole grain pasta, and we're adding it into our salted water.
Salted water.
Salted water, salty like the sea.
Good.
Now, one trick that I always like to use when I'm boiling water is just add about a tablespoon of olive oil here, as I'm doing. That'll keep it so the water doesn't boil over.
Very good.
Now I'm making my vegetable stock here. I'm just going to dump all my old vegetable scraps in there, saute it a little bit, add water, bring it to a boil, vegetable stock. When it's done cooking, your food will be done, strain it, you've got vegetable stock.
Excellent.
Now our pan here is nice and hot. I added maybe a tablespoon of olive oil to the pan, chicken skin side down, and throw it in my 500-degree oven. Now you see, when you're home, you don't have shoes on, so make sure you don't wear shoes in the kitchen. That's a rule. So now I'm adding my water to the chicken or to the vegetable stock, and I'm just going to bring it to a boil. Forget about it. Just stir my pasta a little bit. I've got my pasta caponata working in the oven and my chicken as well working at the same time. So my salad's ready. I'm pulling out my caponata. That took about 10 minutes in the oven. I've got a nice roasted vegetable there, and I can set that off to the side as well. Now, what we're going to do next is sort of get our chicken sauce ready to go. We want to have our vegetable and tomato there. So now that I've got a nice sear on the chicken, I'm going to add my greens to the same pan. Remember, we're only dirtying one pan.
Like that.
Love that. So we put all of our kale in there, the tomato and the onions. Mix it a little bit and add our nice seared chicken breast on top. Now the chicken's not cooked yet. It needs to roast for another 10 to 15 minutes. During that 10 to 15 minutes, our tomatoes and onions and kale will all cook as well.
Gotcha.
Now, we talked about having fresh herbs. Here's some basil. I flip my knife over backwards. And what I'm doing is I'm basically chopping with the opposite of the sharp end to sort of, we want the basil to wilt. You're going to get the most flavor from it. So you're going to that we're going to add to our caponata. Here's our pasta coming from our pasta cooker. Adding that into a bowl. We're going to mix that with the caponata, some cheese, and put it in a casserole dish. We can put it in the oven, and that's going to get nice and crispy on top. And all the flavors from the eggplant are going to cook into the pasta on the bottom.
This is looking really good.
Now, see, this is a large portion. We spent, we spent just under $30 at Whole Foods, and this is going to feed us for about 3 days.
Wow.
So we put our baked pasta back into the oven. We're going to mix our salad now. So we take our wild rocket arugula that we got at the grocery store.
Right.
a little fresh lemon juice, salt, pepper, and some shaved Parmesan cheese.
Even with the peppery taste of the arugula,
You
still.
always want to layer your seasonings, so you don't have to overkill it. Tara likes to joke that I season too aggressively, but
Right.
maybe it's up to everybody's palate. I mean, you pepper it how much you like pepper,
I see.
or salt it how you like salt. So here's my salad, nice and composed. My Parmesan cheese, arugula, my roasted mushrooms, and onions. Goes on the plate there nice. Now I'm pulling my pasta from the oven. This is, this you can leave in the same casserole dish when you want to put it in the refrigerator. Just take it out the next day and pop it back in the oven. Just going to plate up some of that here for me nice. Didn't use a lot of cheese, only used olive oil, no butter. We're going to finish it with just some shaved Parmesan on top and a little drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. So you've got a nice little pasta portion here, a nice hearty salad,
Right.
and now we're going to go ahead and plate up our chicken dish.
It's been in the oven.
Which has
right?
been in the oven
Right.
now for about 15 or 20 minutes as we set everything else up.
Right.
So typically this meal should take you about 35 to 40 minutes of cook time, and then the next day you have virtually a third of that time. So we finished the chicken with a little bit of fresh lemon juice on top, some extra virgin olive oil, and plated up our greens and tomatoes on the side there. You've got 3 dishes, $30, 3 days worth of food, right?
Oh, that's fantastic. And how many meals over that 3 days? You think
I would
6
say
or 9?
The best thing, one traditional Italian dish that I've always really liked is to take eggs and pasta. You make sort of a frittata with your leftover pasta.
Yes.
So if you were to make an omelet, you take your leftover pasta with the caponata, put it in the pan, a little olive oil, crack 3 or 4 eggs on top of it. You've got yourself a great lunch or a great late breakfast to start your day off with. Vegetables, a little pasta, some of your arugula on top, as a garnish, give a little pepperiness to it. I mean,
And I loved what you said, Matthew, that, there's a little preparation time here with 35 minutes, but the next day,
it's easy.
you really just get to throw things together.
Right.
And Tara, you get to enjoy this food,
Yeah, I
right?
get to benefit.
How lucky that is. Well, we don't have very much time left, so I want to make sure people know how to get in contact with you. The website, Matthew?
The website is www.heirloom-la.blogspot.com, or you
Okay.
can contact us directly on our phone, 323-872-2904.
And Tara, that's kind of the way they catch you as well.
Yeah, I actually do the website.
Oh,
so,
how fun. Hey, good partner.
I get to write all kinds of terrible things about it.
She does the photography, the writing, all the other
Yeah,
stuff.
but
I
you
just
told me
cook.
there are recipes. In fact, for the recipe that we saw you cook today
Yeah.
is on there.
Also, a
With
fish,
illustrations.
with illustrations, a fish, a meat, a
Great.
chicken.
A
See,
steak.
we ran out of time. It's all the time we have for this edition of Aging in LA. Thank you so much to our guests, Chef Matthew Poley and his catering partner, Tara Maxey. I'm Paul Peterson for the Los Angeles Department of Aging, the people here at City View Channel 35, and all of our guests on Aging in LA. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.